Good morning. It is really my delight to see you all here, although we're all masked. Good morning, welcome to Cleveland. It's a little bit rainy out there, but that often happens. To Case Western Reserve University, to the School of Medicine, to the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine, and welcome students for your years here with us in the university program and the college program. And most of all, welcome to your white coat ceremony. I'm so pleased that we can all be here today in this beautiful venue, Severance Hall. It's one of the most inspiring venues in all of Cleveland. Having performed music on this stage, I know what it feels like to have butterflies in my stomach. And having watched my children perform here in their student orchestras, and having experienced the best band in the land, the Cleveland Orchestra, perform when you're in town, and students, please come back for performances. It's an amazing place to be at. Now let me focus on our yet-to-be coded medical student class. As I ask you all to stand and be recognized what it took to get you here, both the moments that took for yourselves and your accomplishments with the support of your family and friends. We're here to celebrate your accomplishments today and your bright future. Please stand up. That was like sort of an encore performance at Severance Hall. You can sit down. This ceremony marks your welcome to the Society of Healers of Humankind. And from this day forward, you will look at the world in a different way. In part, not just because you'll be trained and educated in a job and a career, but because this is really a life's calling, and everyone on this stage shares my experience that being a physician welcomes and changes your world. changes the way you look at the world and the priorities you set. It really is a life experience. In a few minutes, you'll put on your white coat and you'll wear it proudly, recognizing the start of this new calling. Your coat will mark you forever and empower you. The medical educators here today strive to create a strong learning, research, and clinical environment designed to help each of you become collectively the best physicians, scientists, and healers on the planet. We take it pretty seriously, and I'm sure you will too. And so also your family members here today, or on live stream, your friends, partners, all of us here are to help you do that. You can't do this alone. So many who have gone before you in medicine had an urgency about their calling. They simply couldn't stand the status quo. They dreamed of a better understanding of societal ills, of human disease, treatments for our most dreaded diseases, and focused their efforts to discover solutions to improve the health of the world, one patient at a time. We recognize that all of us have been preoccupied with COVID-19, that infection, its variants, vaccine access, hesitancy, and it is remarkable how healers across the globe have made so many strides in such a short time. And that couldn't have been done without the years and decades before it of preparing for that next unknown. We've learned a huge amount about scientific discovery, rapid implementation to help society, and the incredible logistic challenges across the globe of delivering equitable care. And you'll be preoccupied with those issues now and for your life's future. The challenges that you will face, societal determinants of health, their biologic impact, social injustice, racism, sexual harassment, poverty, environmental hazards, they're easy to list, really hard to understand, and yet even harder to treat or eliminate. Those aren't specific diseases. They're the society that you enter into that overlay almost everything that you'll be doing. And you need to pay attention to these, even though they're not going to help exactly your decision-making in a diagnosis. Today, it's my honor to welcome you, each of you, who were selected from a rather large offering of applicants for your very special skills and passions to learn and practice medicine. And it's really our honor to welcome you here to an exceptional environment that embraces medical care, both in our city and our community, as a priority. I was the first in my family to enter medicine, and that may be the case for a number of you. However, my wife and I met the first day of medical school, as did my son and daughter-in-law, so good things can happen. My daughter, Ruth, who's an adolescent psychiatrist, so I listen to her a lot, suggested that I add, it's important to put aside assumptions, superficial understandings, preconceived notions, and instead consider each patient new and each new research question with startling innocence. My son James, like me, an oncologist, added, physicians, whether in clinical or research work, must be humble in their thinking, come to each challenge with curiosity and openness for new ideas, and avoid the plague of confirmation bias. Instead, aim for creativity and objectivity. So how are we going to help you get there? The essence of medicine is really learning how to learn. It's not what we teach you, it's how we teach you the process of learning. And in my mind, you begin by listening and spending a lot of your time listening to your patients, to your colleagues, to your teachers. You observe and integrate what you see, smell, hear, feel, into a synthesis of impressions that helps you with a diagnosis. And you ask why a lot every day, just like a 4-year-old. But we seek to find answers to those questions, and to do so, you have to synthesize all that information. Synthesize it first with your peers for a diagnosis, then a treatment or a prevention. The facts are the easy part. It's the synthesis that matters. I'd now like to introduce you to those who will spend their years with you in the next 4 or 5 or beyond, educating you. There is a spectacular set of educating faculty behind me. I'd like to start with Leah Logio, Vice Dean for Medical Education. I'm going to ask Leah to stand up and everybody to follow and stand up until we're done. Leah, thank you. During her time here, Leah has been a force of nature implementing new programs, seeing new ways of listening and learning the science and the art of healing. Bud Isaacson, Executive Dean for the Department of Medicine, Cleveland Clinical College of Medicine at Case Western Reserve University. Neil Mehta, Associate Dean, you can stand up, keep up. Thank you. Associate Dean for Curricular Affairs at the Lerner College. Amy Wilson-Delfos, Associate Dean for Curriculum and Professor in the Department of Pharmacology at the School of Medicine. Lena Mehta, whom you all have met, Director of Admissions, with whom you can finally have a normal conversation and maybe even help us recruit the next class. Monica Yepes Roas is our new Assistant Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Students. I'm really delighted that Monica has joined us. I'd like to turn to our society deans who you've met. Marjorie Greenfield, Dean of the Geiger Society. Todd Otteson, Dean of the Blackwell-McKinley Society. Steve Rigonati, Dean of the Wern Society. Jill Azok, Dean of the Scatcher Society. Anjali Redus McCoy, newly appointed Assistant Dean and Dean for the Robbins Society. And Jason Lambrese, newly appointed Assistant Dean for our newest society, and at the moment he doesn't have a name associated with that, but we're going to change that in a minute. And Christine Warren, Associate Dean for Admissions and Student Affairs for the CCLCM. Also joining us is Sherry Williams, whom you'll hear more about in a minute, as our keynote speaker for today's festivities, and James Fleming, an alumnus of the school, of the class of 1989 and president of our Medical Alumni Board. I'd like you to give all these folks a round of applause. They are going to put you guys might get some time off during the day. They don't, so they're going to work a lot for you, and please appreciate what they do. You can sit down. Thank you. So I have a very special announcement regarding the 6th Academic Society for the School of Medicine. Our society is something new that none of you have experienced, serve as the focal point for learning and engagement of our medical students throughout their training period. The incoming medical students are assigned to one of the societies, and you keep that society for your entire time with us. The societies become professional learning communities. You cluster amongst yourselves that help students master the academic, personal, and professional requirements. And the deans for each society provide just that guidance that every one of us needs at some point along the way, providing individualized advice, mentoring from matriculation all the way to graduation. And each will help you write a letter off to your next destination. Each society has been named for a distinguished alumnus of our school, and each represents a beacon of accomplishment, social impact and awareness, national and international recognition, and the highest standards of professionalism. Now you just met Jason Lambrese. Jason? Yeah, got it, thank you. But he's the guy with no name associated with his society. So I'm pleased to announce, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't, that the society will be named the Gerberding Society. Let me tell you a little bit about who this is in honor of, and that is Julie Gerberding, MD, 1981 graduate of the Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine and a member of our board of trustees. She was also an undergraduate here and has an MPH as well. And it is our distinct honor to offer her the naming of our most recent society, the Gerberding Society, and I'd like to just have an applause for that. Now, no pressure on our first-year class folks, but all of us should aspire to the accomplishments of Dr. Gerberding. She currently serves as the Executive Vice President and Chief Patient Officer of Strategic Communication, Global Public Policy, and Population Health at the pharmaceutical company Merck. She's an infectious disease expert who became a recognized national figure during the 2001 anthrax attack, which many of you probably don't remember. As the acting deputy director of the National Center of Infectious Diseases at the time, she was a prominent spokeswoman for that scare. And she was the first woman to serve as the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, where she led the agency through SARS epidemic and 40 other healthcare crises, including the decision to build the smallpox vaccine inventory between 2002 and 2009. After that, she started at Merck as a president for the vaccine division in 2009.
Congratulations and welcome to the world's most inspiring, most challenging, and most humbling profession. I wish I had great advice to offer you at this early stage in your career, but what I can say is this, that if you always lead from what's in the patient's best interest and you follow your heart, you'll be successful. You'll have a chance to cure some patients. You will be able to help many. But if you care for all of them, your career will be incredibly rewarding and you will have a life well lived. So I wish you all the best. I look forward to meeting you. And again, congratulations.
So our medical students are now part of the Gerberding Society. We've come to full closure. You've got your name. Carry it well. So we are in fact here to help all of our medical students through their career development and plan, whether it be in the patient space, the research space, public health space, whether you go on to an additional degree, consider yourself part of our family. I'd now like to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Sherry Williams. Dr. Sherry Dixon Williams, MD and MHS, joined Metro Health System in 2001 and was president of the medical staff from 2014 to 2016. She is a pulmonary critical care specialist and associate professor of the School of Medicine. She chairs the Metro Health Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee and the Medication Safety Subcommittee, pretty mundane events until COVID happens. She is responsible for the quality and safe subscribing and dispensing of medications and building a region-wide system for this delivery. She's also the medical director of the smoking cessation programs and a member of the Metro Health Foundation Board of Directors. Dr. Williams is a champion and advocate for chronic disease management in the community. She's collaborated with St. Luke's Foundation, the Cuyahoga Board of Health, and with other organizations in our community for healthy initiatives, especially around asthma and smoking cessation. She is a member of the CCBH Board of Directors and medical director for the Cuyahoga Community College Respiratory Therapy Program, where she teaches and mentors students. At the national level, Dr. Williams serves as the chair of the board of directors for 340B Health. Nearly 1,400 public and private nonprofit hospitals and health systems share in the mission to advocate on the behalf of millions of low-income, underserved patients for access to reduce medical prices for drugs, and she's central to that effort. She also serves as the chair of the Education Committee for the America's Essential Hospitals. Dr. Williams completed her undergraduate and graduate work at Johns Hopkins University, attended medical school at the University of Illinois in Chicago, and completed her internal residency program in pulmonary critical care fellowship at Detroit Medical Center. She's an exceptional physician who works tirelessly for patients with a real strong community orientation and effort with public health, medical education, and healthcare policy. And I'm really delighted that Dr. Williams would join us this morning. Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Dean Gerson, and to the platform party, faculty, guests, I say good morning to you, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real honor to be amongst all of you this morning. So, let me start by saying to the family and friends of our incoming class, I applaud you for your tireless efforts, your encouragement, and your prayers in getting your students to this point. So I'd like to give you a round of applause for all that you have done. I can't believe I'm here. Are any of you saying that same thing? I bet you are. I want to pinch myself to see if it's real, and you can do the same, but don't pinch the person next to you. They won't appreciate it. But it is real, and I want to tell you congratulations for being here today. So, in preparation for this address, like all diligent, lifelong learners, and I'm sure all of you are, just like I am, I did a little research and reading on the white coat and medicine. And what I found was that for many centuries, doctors wore black, as it sort of symbolized the formality and seriousness of the physician's role. You can think of it as being somewhat akin to the tuxedo or the black evening gown in terms of formality. Going to the physician was seen as a formal relationship and affair. And in fact, it wasn't until the 19th century that the color changed to white, becoming the symbol of trustworthiness, cleanliness, and purity, similar to a traditional white wedding dress for the bride. The idea of cleanliness and purity also coincided with the evolution of germ theory and science. Science rather than sort of quackery or mysticism. And that was very revolutionary in medicine. But it wasn't until 1993 that Dr. Arnold P. Gold, a teacher and pediatric neurologist, held the first full-fledged white coat ceremony at Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons, that the white coat ceremony was formally established. 1993. And so I found myself saying, wow, that date makes sense, because for the longest time I kept thinking to myself when I was asked to do this talk, what was my white coat ceremony like? And I kept thinking, and I wanted to text one of my closest friends from medical school and say, did we have a white coat ceremony? Because I can't remember. And I'm sure I don't have dementia. And so when I found that the date was in 1993, I realized I'm just old. So I didn't have a white coat ceremony, but then as I went on to reflect on some of the key moments in my life, I recalled the white coat ceremony that I did have much later in my career. It took place in 2014 when I became the first African American woman to be president of the Metro Health System medical staff. Wow. You know, and I thought about that, and a flood of emotions came to mind, and I remember some of the feelings and emotions of that evening, many of which I'm sure you are experiencing today. I felt a great sense of accomplishment, pride, joy, excitement, empowerment. I was humbled to have been voted into that position by my peers. And yes, some trepidation. All of those were emotions that I felt at that time, and that's why today I'm wearing my special white coat that I received on that day. But I have to tell you that it wasn't until 2020 and the advent of the coronavirus pandemic that took donning a white coat to a different level. As a critical care physician, I did a lot of donning and doffing of PPE, which is a fancy medical way of saying putting on and putting off protective personal equipment that, quite honestly, made me look like Frankenstein in a shower curtain. I did a lot of donning and doffing, and last year's experience has left me with a more in-depth meaning of what it is to wear this white coat. I'd like to share for just a few minutes some of those reflections, because the events of the pandemic were indeed character building. And as you don your white coat today, it is my sincere hope that you reflect on the character you are building as a young physician. White coat. WC, a willing compassion. For it is compassion that says, yes, it's late, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I am headed out the door, but I can stop and get the iPad for my patient who is alone and frightened and just wants to see his family from his isolation room. And there's not a nurse in sight. It is, in fact, compassion that says, yes, sir, I know you thought this pandemic was a hoax. I know you thought you just had a bad cold or the flu. I know you are wishing you had done things differently. But I want you to know that none of that matters now, because I'm gonna stand here and hold your hand, and yes, the box of Kleenex, and let you know that it's okay. That my team and I are going to do our very best, and everything possible to get you through this illness and off the respirator. It's compassion that sits with a doctor colleague who is losing a parent to COVID, or a nurse colleague who is simultaneously losing 3 family members at once due to COVID. Because after all, compassion is extended to all who come, but charity does begin at home. Working courageousness. For courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the moral and mental strength to overcome fear and to persevere through difficulty. I must confess to you that in the early months of the pandemic, I had to find that courage. Stepping into the ICU, I seriously, for the first time ever in my 25 years of practicing critical care, for the first time I contemplated my own mortality. I, like so many others, have persevered through exhaustion, fear, uncertainty, and grief of devastating events. And yet, here we are. Here I stand, and you may ask, so what do you have to show for it? Well, I want you to know that it's through suffering and hardship that one learns how to persevere, how to endure, and enduring leads to experience. And that experience leads to the development of a strong, resilient character. Man, do I have respect for the courage demonstrated by the more than 3,600 U.S. healthcare workers who have died from COVID. 2020 not only brought the pandemic, but also intense societal racism and tension. And for us in healthcare, it laid bare for all to see the ugly reality of health inequity. Right here in Cuyahoga County, disparate rates of vaccination: 32% for Blacks, 43% for Hispanics, and 56% for whites. Disparate rates of hospitalization and death: 2.5 times greater for Blacks than whites. So what do I say to you, my young colleagues? As you begin your journey, I wish for you, young doctors, courage to challenge and change the policies and practices that lead to health inequity. Holistic care. By this I mean not just care of the patient, but care of each other as classmates, and more importantly, self-care. It was during the pandemic that I found myself having to dig deeper and indulge more in self-care, doing more than ever. Self-care to alleviate stress and fatigue, and to build resilience. Melatonin, aromatherapy, and yes, as technologically challenged as I am, I bought an Alexa to play soothing music, piano, white noise to help me sleep. I was actually quite proud of myself for getting that thing hooked up to the Wi-Fi. And then my niece and nephew, they cracked my face when they said, "Yes, Auntie, we know you're technically challenged because it's called an Echo Dot, not an Alexa." Holistic care builds resilience, which is the capacity to recover quickly from life's disappointments and heartaches, and yes, the world's imperfections. And it is resilience that allows us to go back day after day and give our absolute best to our patients. Wondrous curiosity. For some of you sitting here today, that curiosity will develop the next innovative cancer drug or revolutionary surgical or therapeutic procedure. And yes, perhaps the next vaccine. May your curiosity take you far in your career, benefiting you and the many others whose lives you touch directly and indirectly. In closing, student doctors entering class of 2021, may you walk worthy of your physician calling. Remember that in no other profession do people go to a stranger during their most vulnerable moments, tell their deepest and sometimes darkest secrets, fears, and hopes, and then allow themselves to be poked and prodded in their most private spaces, except for us. My hope and wish for each of you is an abundance of compassion, courage, charity, self-care, curiosity, and resilience. I thank you all for allowing me to hopefully impart a small token of wise counsel as you journey forth in building your careers and character. I welcome you, colleagues, in this wondrous celebration, and I leave you with these final words from Dr. Martin Luther King. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Thank you.
I think you'll agree that was a showstopper. Thank you, Dr. Williams. That was really quite phenomenal, something for all of us to learn and to listen to again and again, I think. I think we're just at the point where we want to pass out some coats. Is that what we're going to do next? So I'm going to invite Lena Mehta to the podium to help us with the process. I saw the rehearsal for this. It doesn't mean I exactly know what everybody's doing, but I hope you all do. So Lena's going to come up, and I'm going to watch.
All right. The other deans and faculty, you know what you need to do. Students, are you ready? Students, please come forward as I call your name. Nadia Abbas. Alabukula Abiona. Aaron On. Hannah Arndt. Janina Anoki. Corinne Apollonia. Miranda Arkelian. Andrea Arline. Ramon Arza. Sophie Ballerjan. Dalton Bannister. Michael Bassett. Nicholas Beatty. Hanok Befakadu. Parinaz Behbani Nejad. Chloe Borden. Kelly Bowen. Aaron Braverman. Donald Brennan. Eric Bergera. Layla Bushweller. Megan Callahan. Kelly Chambers. Kathy Charles. Daniel Chen. Austin Chu. David Chong. Jeffrey Chu. Hannah Clark. Spencer Kaufman. Janine Corley. August Culbert. Kristen Curtis. Sophia Damon. Indrani Das. Lydia D'Angelo. Marissa DeLuca. Jacqueline Diaz. Katie Dominic. Sriya Donthi. Samuel Doty. Nancy Dunbar. Alex Ishingdrello. Princess Ekpo. Ifi Ekpunobi. Mohammed Alabta. Varisha Esani. Nathan Fakolt. Lauren Fain. Shannon Fong. Sammy Ferris. Ra'e Fodor. Alad Freeman. John Francis. Claire Fritz. Perrin Fugo. Deborah Gakpo. Allison Gaznick. Debelina Ghosh. Jeffrey Gerardo. Shravya Gogula. Carly Goldblatt. Camille Goodwin. Alan Gordillo. Maria Gorenflow. Emilio Grau Cruz. Urvi Gupta. Pam Guo. Martina Hale. Andrew Halza. Alexander Havens. Kenna Hawes. Christian Hecht. Danielle Herman. Hannah Hetzel Eben. Hannah Hong. Kevin Haas. David Hoying. Vivian Hua. Josh Hunter. Ellen Hutchinson. Jacob Ingber. Meghana Iyer. McKay Jarman. Bridger Jepson. Samiha Jelani. Diane Joe. Amir Karimi. Benjamin Kelser. Aya Kent. Ryan Kaloff. Zain Kawaja. Andrew Kim. Hee Kyung Kim. Jae Hee Kim. Alexander King. Pavel Kipnis. Emily Knott. Nandan Kodur. Ria Kohli. Casey Kuka. Sajal Kulhari. Pranav Kumar. Yash Kumar. Honore Lachenauer. Jonathan Lee. Hans Lear. Kieran Lewis. Roshan Lodha. Kiana Liu. Renee Lyons. Christina McCaskill. Megan McCrae. Arohi Mahabaleshwarkar. Amulya Malu. Tatini Mal Sarkar. Gregory Manick. Orlando Martinez. Andy Meow. Jillian Michelson. Katrina Miko Falvey. Rohit Misra. Carly Mitchell. Nitesh Mohan. Brock Montgomery. Dana Muhana. Archana Murli. Nikhil Nair. Devika Nandwana. Victoria Netter. Chidera Nosiri. Tiffany Agundape. Chiameka Okafor. Tammy Oladeji. Vern O'Laker. Kelsey O'Yang. Trina Paul. Siamrit Patana Vanich. Caroline Panaccio. Ashley Perez. Scott Perkins. Jessica Pham. Jake Pitcher. Ajay Patluri. Anirudh Prabhu. Nikhil Pramod. Amanda Quinones. Michael Ramos. Neil Rana. Tripti Rothi. Asha Ravichandran. Connor Reed. Jose Reyes. Chris Rhodes. Mark Ricciardi. Adam Rizk. Zoe Rhodes. Gabriela Rodriguez. Tori Rogness. Rishi Sachdev. Josica Samarco. Juliana Sanrame. Genesis Santana. Kunal Cernaik. Nicholas Souter. Mark Semama du Joaluli. Megan Schneider. Matthew Shulgit. Sai Lakshmi Senthil Kumar. Ryan Seth. Ishan Shah. Patricia Shang. Beti Sharu. Anu Sharma. Galen Shern Nance, who's not on stage with us today because he's getting married. Brendan Sheehan. Alan Shen. Shi. Jeffrey Shu. Paulina Schultes. Akshata Silas. Jason Singer. Prerna Singh. Beatriz Serrato. Nuala Spillane. Anna Swenson. Calvin Taylor. Lauren Taylor. Mario Syriac Chicado. Marisa Tierheimer. Austin Thompson. Alicia Tomaszewski. Annalise Vaccarello. Christopher Varlamos. Nikhil Vasaretti. Tiffany Vaughn. Adam Wade. Claudia Walker. Cassandra Wang. Mia Wang. Brandon Ward. Marcellus Wiggins. Danielle Wilfond. Caroline Wilkowski. Ethan Winter. Victoria Wu. Shanchi Shou. James Shu. Gautam Yurneni. Ji-hun Karen Yu. Hannah Zaymore. Allison Zhao. Jack Zhao. Ashley Zheng. Jeffrey Zong. Eric Zhou. Congratulations, graduates. You look amazing.
Thank you all. That was pretty amazing. Lena, thank you for an outstanding class, the best we've ever had. And your statistics show it, so be that as it may. So I think that was an amazing experience. Hope you can all calm down now. We've got one more big element for you, and that is I'm going to invite Dr. Stephen Riccinati to introduce the oath of professionalism that the students created during their orientation week. Steve.
Thank you, Dr. Gerson. Last Friday, all students from the university program, college program, and the medical scientist training program worked together to craft their own oath of medical professionalism, which they will recite today. The recitation of this oath marks their formal entry into the study of medicine. Let me briefly describe the workshop. On Friday morning, Dean Gerson addressed the class, speaking about a patient he treated for blood cancer, the trust that was involved in that relationship, and how that trust was tested when the treatment did not go as planned. After which, the students broke into small groups, identified ideas, themes, concepts that were important to them. They came together in medium-sized groups, consolidated their ideas, voted to establish priority. Then they elected 15 leaders to go to a consensus conference who crafted the words of the oath based upon the ideas of their class. That group of 15 then selected 2 students to come up to the stage and lead their class in their oath. It is my great pleasure to invite Temi Oladeji and Orlando Martinez to come and lead their class. Will the entering class of 2021 please stand and turn to your oath in your program?
As the entering class of 2021, we humbly acknowledge the immense privilege of our white coats we have received today, and the obligations we now carry to ourselves, our future patients, and our communities. We will innovate, collaborate, and deliver care with the highest integrity. We will strive for mastery, humbly learn from our shortcomings, and seek self-improvement. as students and teachers, leaders and followers, caregivers and patients, we are committed to lifelong learning and exercising compassion towards ourselves, our colleagues, and others. We will respect our patients' autonomy and understand that they are experts of their own experience. We will strive to be empathetic healers of the body, spirit, and mind. We will tirelessly advocate for our patients' best interests and empower their voices. We will build mutual trust with all of our patients, especially those in marginalized communities. We pledge to champion social justice and eliminate disparities both within and beyond the clinic. We will confront the public health crisis of racism in Cleveland and strive to apply this perspective to advance the standard of care throughout our medical careers. Through research, innovation, and advocacy, we will become agents of change.
Very well said, and we'll hold you to it. I think you can sit down. Thank you. So to those comments, I would only add the reverberations, if I would, of Dr. Williams' comments a little earlier. She spoke right to the heart of what we all experience in medicine. So it's been my honor to speak with you today as your interim dean, and hope that, although this might be an overwhelming event, that you take it with you. And I guess it's recorded since it's live streamed, so you can look at it again. I've got one more little surprise for you. I haven't actually examined this, so if it ain't there, send it back and we'll fix it. In the pocket, one of the three, of your white coats, you'll find some words of wisdom from someone who came before you. These bits of advice from our alumni, emeriti faculty, and friends who are all pulling for you. Well, yeah, it looks like you got something. That's good. And keep it with you. You can put it back in your pocket after you've read it so you don't lose it. And we hope it gives a little bit of advice to each one of you. Wear your coat well. It's a badge of responsibility. I think we've made that clear. Trust and the dedication to help others may keep you steady and confident, compassionate, humble. To our newest colleagues, the entering class of 2021, welcome to the profession, to the Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine from this day forward as a member of the Society of Healers of Mankind. Now that concludes our formal program. We're going to take a picture because it's a little wet outside. We're going to take it inside. And so if it's okay with all of you, we'd like you to sit tight for a minute so we can take a picture. We're all going to come down and stand in the front. Then we'll have the class stand up. We'll take a few quick pictures, and then we will let everybody out of here. Thank you.